He holds a Guinness World Record for the longest throw-in. He was pivotal in Liverpool's 1920 championship win, and we have him here on Kopish. It's the one and only Thomas Gronnemark, and we're going to have a chat. Sit back, relax. Let's get into this.
Hi, this is Jordan Henderson, and you're watching Team Kop-Ish.
Me free back again, ripping LFC till the end, so go on tell a friend. If they rockin' red, they're a 10 champions, be the best, we come again. Kop-Ish clean up in every region, elevation in every season. Catch up in all the fast match up in real rap, and drifty go on tell them this is that, this is that. This is Kop-Ish, this is Kop-Ish. Reppin' Liverpool till the end, champions, we the best, come again. This is that, this is Kop-Ish, this is Kop-Ish. The main free back up in your screen, real ones know this the place to be. This is Kop-Ish.
Hi, Thomas. First and foremost, welcome to Kopish. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks a lot for the invitation.
No, thank you so much for making time to do this. I reached out to you on a whim, and you were so generous in your time and getting back to me. So I reached out to a lot of people, and you're a rare one. So I really appreciate you getting back to me. I do want to start off, and I'd love for you to give the audience a bit about your background and how you rose to prominence and how you joined Liverpool as well, please.
Yeah, so I'll try to make a quite long story quite short. So I've been playing football myself, and came in the best Danish U19 league. Also played against great players like, for example, Thomas Gronnemark, who later came to Celtic, Real Madrid, and the Danish national team. But it wasn't good enough to be a professional football player. So in the mid-90s, I went to athletics because I was fast on the football pitch. So I came on the national team the first year. I was 6 years as on the Danish national team as a sprinter, running 100, 200, 400 meters in relays. And then in 2002, I changed sport to the Danish national bobsleigh team. And I was there for 4 years. And it was in the middle of that bobsleigh period where we played an indoor football match against the German bobsleigh team because we had a cooperation with them. So I took a long throw-in, and all the others were impressed, and I got the idea to be a throwing coach. So after that bobsleigh trip in January of 2004, I went down to my local library in my hometown here in Denmark and tried to find that book about throw-ins, but there was no books at all, so I had to do my own course. And first it was only the long throw-in. And then I started with my first Danish Super League club, the best league in Denmark, in October 2004, Viborg. And then the first couple of years, I was only coaching the long throw-ins. But then suddenly in 2007, I realized that most teams that lost the ball in more than 50% of the occasions when they had a throw-in under pressure, where the players are marked. So I also started to work with the fast and clever throw-ins, like I call it. So it's the throw-ins all around the pitch, also space creation and other things like that. Maybe we'll come a little bit deeper into that later. And then I always dreamed about coaching the biggest clubs in the world. But I coached the best Danish clubs, but then I thought I want to have the longest throw-in the world. Maybe that'll make me famous. So in 2010, I set the official Guinness World Record with a throw of 51.33 meters. That was with a flip throw-in. And I was a non-gymnast, so that was like 2.5 years of hard work and training and getting a lot of help from people. Even though it was great to be the best in the world at the throw-in, I still was only coaching Danish Super League clubs. And even though it was great, I still dreamed about the big ones. But then in July 2018, I got a call from Jürgen Klopp directly on the phone, and he asked me to help Liverpool with the throw-ins. And yes, then I was 5 years together with Liverpool FC. Of course, winning 7 titles, the most famous of them, of course, the Champions League the first year, yes, and then the Premier League the second year. So I had 5 fantastic seasons with Liverpool FC, and this also gave me my international breakthrough because I'm a freelancer. So since then, I've been coaching 6, 8 professional teams all around the world. So yeah.
Please let me know at the moment that you got the phone call from Jürgen Klopp. What was that like, and how did that conversation go?
It was actually quite crazy because I was driving with my wife here in Denmark. We just have to visit a chocolate shop We've
Okay.
seen it in a tourist brochure, and we went into the parking lot there, and my phone was on silent mode, sometimes with the family, and so my wife and my kids went into that chocolate shop, and then was just looking at the phone, and I could see there was a +44 number that had been calling, and I have a company, so there's a lot of people calling me around everything, so I thought it was an Englishman selling me some pens or so, but then I listened to the voicemail, and then it was Jürgen Klopp, and I was just like, I was totally, so I just called him back immediately. But luckily enough, he didn't answer because my heart was just saying boom, 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 So I went into the chocolate shop to my wife and my kids, and then I said to my wife, Linda, I said, Jürgen Klopp has called. And then she said, Jürgen Klopp? Yes, Jürgen Klopp, I said. And then we just bought a lot of chocolate and then put into the car, and then I decided to drive home to myself and take perhaps the most important call in my life. So I was driving the car, my wife sitting beside me, the kids in the back, and then suddenly the phone rang, and my wife picked the phone up and she said, "It's Jürgen." And then I took the car and drove directly to the right into the grass field, and then it was Jürgen Klopp on the phone, and he said we had a fantastic season in the 17-18 season where we had a 4th place in the Premier League, Champions League final, we lost to Real Madrid. But he said we were really bad at the throw-ins. We lost the ball almost every time we had one. And he said, I tried to do something, but it didn't work. And then he's been laying down in Tenerife in Spain on his vacation in a beach chair, and he was reading the German newspaper Bild. Then he read an article about me, that I was a throwing coach, and he's never been hearing about a throwing coach before. So the week after the call, he invited me to Melwood just for a meeting because he wanted to hear how could I help the team. And it was a fantastic meeting with Jürgen, 1.5 hours or so. He was really listening a lot, not only saying what did he do. No, so Jürgen is a fantastic listener, and it should only have been a meeting, nothing else. But Jürgen was so convinced that already the day after, I had the chance to coach 21 Premier League players, all the players who weren't at vacation after the World Cup or injured. And then the week after that, first training, I signed a contract with Liverpool FC. First for like the first half year of the season, because I guess they want to see if it worked. Yeah. And then quite soon after for the second part of the season. And then, like I said before, all in all, it was 5 years with Liverpool FC. So yeah, it was fantastic years in so many ways.
So you speak about Jürgen Klopp, and Jürgen Klopp's my favorite manager of all time, and I think a lot of Liverpool fans will probably echo that, especially around my age as well. Just go into a bit more detail, because he's someone with so much experience and so much charisma, but one of the things you said there is a fantastic listener. Do you think that's what separates him from a lot of the other great managers, the fact that he's willing to put his ego aside and actually listen to someone else's opinion?
Yeah, so first of all, before I answer, it's really important here to say that I've been publishing 2 books here in Denmark about, motivation, joy at work, how to keep your motivation over longer time. I've been doing over 1,000 talks for companies around the same subjects here. So it's also with those, like we say in Denmark, glasses, that I'm saying what I'm saying now. Because I'm really aware of how people are communicating individually, but also how do you make a team function really well. And like I mentioned before, Jürgen is a really, really good listener. So it was not about him saying, yeah, okay, we did this and this and this, so can you do approximately the same, just with a little twist of yours, then it'll be good. No, those 5 years in Liverpool, I had an open role. I could do anything I want. Of course, it was coordinated with Jürgen, the other coaches, with the physical staff, the intensity, the data people, but Jürgen trusted me, because he knew that perhaps Liverpool's biggest weakness was the throw-ins, and if he wanted to improve them, he had to get a guy in who've been working with this on a high level. So first of all, Jürgen is a really good listener. It's not about him talking, and you might think that if you see him in short media clips, like he's ambitious, he's funny, but he's a fantastic listener. So that's one thing. Another thing is also that he's really present when you meet him. So, with eye contact, and he's looking at you. And he's yeah. Of course, there's the famous club hug. Of course, he's not hugging you all the time, but I got my club hug when I came to the meeting the first time. So he's really good at being present, not only with the players, also with the staff, but also with the fans. Sometimes, yeah, for example, especially when we were away on training camps, Evian, Austria, Marbella, and so when I was there, often there was a lot of fans outside, and it was not like he just like waved hello. He went over to people and had eye contact and chatted a little bit, and that, of course, that was not necessary, but he did it. So that's a great strength too from him personally. And then another thing, he's really good at making people help each other and create a culture where it's a natural thing that we help each other. So of course we have to perform individually and do the best, but a lot of the magic and the secrets is to create strong relations between people, and we also know that from different scientists. And so, for example, here in Denmark, that the stronger relations you can build in a team, the better chance of having success, but also having a great time at work too. And Jürgen Klopp is really good at creating that environment, creating that culture where we have a great time, but also where we are performing well together and not only individually. And then I'll also say what I really like, for example, on the training pitch was that sometimes we just have a lot of fun, and I have a lot of stories, where we had so much fun. And then it said like this, and then it was 100% focus.
Wow.
And if you can do that, not only when you play on a football team, but also at work somewhere or with your friends and so, but especially at work and in football, can you be really good at switching from having fun, because that's important, to having focus. And I can sometimes see, maybe I can come places where they have too much fun, and then we are not really high performing. But I can also see the oppositely, that people are like they are too serious, they are too focused, and then everything is getting totally stiff, and people are afraid of making mistakes. And so I think it's, no matter if you play in a football team, you are in a workplace, can you find that balance depending on your culture, the structure of the place you work, and your challenges? And so then you are you've been coming really far. So I've only have great things to say about Jürgen Klopp. So he's both a great manager, but just also a great human. So yeah.
Amazing. I just want to go a little bit into depth about the training, because again, from the outside looking in, sometimes we watch videos like Inside Training, where you get sort of to be a fly on the wall, so to speak, and see what's going on. Just describe to me how a day at now the AXA would go. What time would you sort of arrive? How would things be structured, and how would you conduct a training session, for example?
Yeah, so first of all, it's really important for me to say I'm not there anymore. I was there from
of course,
2018 to 23. So of course I don't know how they'll do it now.
You do. Yeah, you weren't at the AXA, so yeah, it would have been Melwood, right?
Yeah. Melwood first, and then it was 2 last seasons with it was AXA. But it's just for me to say that I think the entire staff has changed, and a big, not all, but of course a big amount of the players. So there may be a totally other culture now, and another way to do it. But I can just say that, and it wasn't so different compared to many other football clubs. Of course, most days you train one time, but once in a while you train 2 times. So, but if it's a one training session, it'll often be like 10:30 or 11 o'clock, depending on the day. And then the players will meet in like early to eat breakfast, and then they'll just come together and relax a little bit. Then we'll not every day, but once in a while have a little meeting around some strategy or so, or things to think about. And then you go into pre-activation, and you're maybe using like an hour, 45 minutes to pre-activate before the training. And then you do your training, and then then you'll normally have you'll have lunch afterwards, and then so this is a quite normal training day. I won't say what I experienced in Liverpool was not that different compared to many other clubs. This was more like the leadership of Jürgen, the culture in the team itself. But if you're looking at structures of things, that was not so different compared to other football clubs. But I also believe that, yes, even though we can make a great structure and we have to have the right quality of work and employees should be as good as possible, I think it's the culture. That's maybe the most important thing, because if you have great relations, if you need a helping hand with something, if you have great relations, you'll just ask. If you don't have great relations, you're maybe a little bit afraid of what people are thinking about you. Am I not good enough? Then you maybe won't ask. Oppositely, do I have some new knowledge or so? A way I can help other people. If we have good relations, I'll just say it immediately. Hey, do you know what I read here? Maybe we can do this. Or did you know that? And if we don't have good relations, either we just don't say it, or sometimes we keep it for ourselves, and then we want to share it when everybody sees it, so they can see that I'm really great. So again, great relations and the culture. That's if you ask me, maybe the most important thing for who can make a difference for you, because all the top teams, they have great players. All the top teams have great facilities. All the top teams, have quite skilled coaches. But I think if you ask me, what means the most is the culture you create.
Completely agree. Just want to go into a little bit of details regarding the players now. So often players are, criticized, and a lot of rumors come out saying they're skeptical about trying new ideas and things like this sometimes. Now, obviously, you being a throwing coach was quite rare at the time. How quickly do you think the players bought into you being there and actually bought into your philosophy and some of your ideas?
Yeah, I think in Liverpool they bought in immediately. And why did they do that? This is also about leadership. So what happened the very first day, where I trained the 21 players, the day after the first meeting in Melwood, when we were on the pitch, Jürgen, he said to the players, we had a fantastic season in this 17-18 season, 4th place Premier League, Champions League final, we lost to Real Madrid. But we're really bad at throw-ins, and you also know we tried to do something together. And it didn't work. This is maybe our biggest weakness on the team, also because it happens 40 to 60 times in a match. So it means a lot. I've invited Thomas, and he's a throwing coach. And it's maybe a special job here, but I'm 100% sure that he can help us improve our throw-ins, so we can make even better wrestles. And of course, if your manager is saying that, and you're a tiny step from the Premier League title, and even a smaller step from the Premier League title, then of course you have that hunger to improve. So when your manager says that before the very first training, you'll think, yes, maybe that's the guy. And then I followed up right after Jürgen. So when he stopped talking, I said, yes, I'm a throwing coach, and I'm not going to make you into Stoke number 2. And with that, I meant that we're not going to do a lot of long throw-ins. Nothing wrong with Stoke, because I'm also coaching some teams who are scoring crazy many long throw-ins goals, even more than Stoke in that time, But in Liverpool, it was more about the fast and clever throw-in. So I think the players bought into it, and for example, a really good example was around a month after I started with Liverpool, Robo and Robertson, he was interviewed on the Scottish national team match there. And one of the things he said was that already now we are switched on every time there's a throw-in. So our own throw-in and the opponent's throw-in. So I think that this was one of the main reasons why I had such a big throw-in success in Liverpool. Also, first of all, the good leadership from Jürgen in the start by, how can you say, giving me a great start. By the way, he talked about me and my coaching and the team's challenges, and then also that the players bought well in. And sometimes I still hear on Twitter, yes, that throwing coach, we didn't take any long throw-ins, and I don't think it worked. But sometimes if you don't know what to look after, you don't know. And I can just say that, and maybe you have read it, but there was in 2019, in the fall there was some data from Tifo Football about the 2018-19 season. And so this was not my data, and they said that in the season before I came, Liverpool were only number 18 out of 20 in the Premier League on throw-ins under pressure, with a possession on 45.4%, where the players are marked. But in my first season, 18-19, we improved to 68.4% possession, and we went from number 18 to number 1 in the Premier League on throw-ins under pressure. And of course, if you're going from being really bad at something to being the best, and that's something that happens 40 to 60 times in a match, it will also affect the results. And of course, I'm not saying it was only because of the throw-ins that we won titles. No, of course, it's a part of a team with many players, many staff coming in and making a difference. But of course, it made a difference for the results that the team improved so much. So
Yeah, I wanted to speak about that, going from 18th to 1st. Was there a particular moment or a game where you really looked back and you went, I can see this working now. I can see this all working, coming together. Was there a particular moment or a game that you can remember?
No, there was nothing specific there. I could already see it from the start that the players were really aware and switched on and focused, and they started to do some of the movement. I'm training them like team space creation in many different ways. So they took a lot of responsibility. And one of the reasons they could do that was, of course, because of, if I should say myself, high quality throwing coaching. But it was also because that team, they were like picked out because of their, how can you say, social responsibilities, how they worked as a team. And one of the best signs is that, I can't remember the exact number, but I actually think in that start 11 we had, or at least the ones who played a lot, I think we had I think it was 6 or 7 players who were either captains or vice captains on their national team. Yeah. So it meant that they took a lot of responsibility in so many different ways. So not only when we had a throw in, but also when the opponents had one. So and let me just give you a fast couple of examples where, because of course sometimes if you score a goal after a throw in, it's great, but it doesn't only have to be that. But let me start with one of the one that was with a goal. We had a throw in the Champions League against RB Salzburg. We had it in the middle of our pitch. It was Trent who took it on the right side, and RB Salzburg, they marked zonal defense, and there's no best way of defending. Every type of defending has strengths and weaknesses, and one of the weaknesses by zone defending is that, yes, you might cover a big area, but you're also not that close to every player. So you have a little bit more time in the passes when you receive the throw. So Trent, he threw it to Bobby Firmino, who even had time for a second touch. He returned pass to Trent. Then we made what I call a mini switch to Virgil van Dijk, and already reread that. That's what I call opponents defending pattern. How are the opponents standing? They show where should we go after, So the ball came to Virgil van Dijk. He passed it on to Andy Robertson, and we had no pressure on the left side because the RB Salzburg's opponent's defending pattern was like flat, diagonal type, and then Andy Robertson played it to Sadio Mane, and then he was almost, even though it was in the left side, like almost at their penalty area. And then Sadio Mane played a 1-2 with Bobby Firmino because he went up there again, and then we scored a goal. So you can say, just by that one throw-in, I could do a talk on at least 2-3 hours, because there are so many elements in that single throw-in. I can talk about, defending patterns, defending in general, different movements, things like that. So I'll say that was the first highlight. And then we have one, and a lot of people don't see that, but I can remember one time, I can't even remember who it was, but we were like 4-0 up. And one of the important things when you want to defend your opponent's throw-ins is that you are organizing fast as a team. And that's the challenge for many teams, that first of all, they're not organizing fast and often not as a team. So in many teams, you see 1, 2, 3 players who are not like switched on at defending. We were like 4-0 in front. And yeah, it was like, I think it was last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then Gene Wijnaldum, he ran like 40 meters to close a gap. So we, how can you say it, had much better pressure on the opponents when they took the throw in. And you might say, okay, it's 4-0. It doesn't matter. Okay, save your energy. No, that run meant so much, because this is about mentality, not only mentality for me, but it's mentality together. So when I see things like that, and I see that often both offensively, but also defensively with throw-ins, you know, I'm just so happy. But most of the things I see and I train, people don't see it because there's a lack of knowledge around throw-ins in the football world. So, but again, in Liverpool, again, we didn't use the long throw-in, but we actually scored 10 to 15 goals every of those 5 seasons after throw-in situations, either our own or typically also 3-4 goals every season directly from the opponent's throw-ins as a counter-attack, not 30 seconds later, but directly. So throw-ins means a lot, and yeah.
Completely agree. Just wanted to speak about the system and the techniques you're using. So you speak about the fast and clever throwing. Firstly, is it only the fullbacks you work with in terms of attacking throw-ins, or is it the whole team? And secondly, could you just go into a bit more detail about what constitutes to being a fast and clever throw-in, please?
Yeah, so first of all, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I'm also coaching the long ones. And I actually did that a little bit in the start with Liverpool, not to do long towards the opponent's goals, but to have better counter-attack options. You can't be offside and throw-in, but also to increase the throw-in area. But let's go to the fast and clever throw-in. So first of all, the fast throw-in, this is about getting the ball as fast as possible, scan on the way. The other players are also reacting fast, and then throw it fast if you have a free player, or maybe a low-risk, high-reward throw-in behind the defense. It's also important for me to say that one of the worst things you can do is to throw it fast, because if you throw it fast into a pressure situation or pressure area, then your risk of losing it. So the people who are saying, hey, it's great to throw fast, no, it's the worst thing you can do. So the magic in throw-ins is that to know when to throw fast and know when to have patience and wait and then create space. And then back to your question, I was coaching all the players, first of all, because all the players were included in team space creation, but also one of the elements in fast throw-ins, at least in my throw-in philosophy, is that the nearest player is getting the ball fast. No matter who it is, of course, often it'll be the fullback or wingback, but it could also be the central defender, midfielder, striker, winger, because the faster you get the ball, the less time the opponents have to organize. Fast throw-ins, that's of course also to react and mark fast when the opponents have a throw-in. And then the clever throw-in, to cook it down, that's team space creation, where we can create spaces in many different ways all around the pitch. So we keep the ball, create a chance, or score a goal after a throw-in. And the decision we make around where should we throw is, here we look at, first of all, the opponent's defending pattern. This is how the opponents are standing, and this can change from game to game, from throw-in to throw-in, also depending on the standing in the match. And then we also, for example, looking at individual throw-in superpowers. There are some individual players who have some strengths we can use, like good at protecting the ball, so he can do a side pass and then a side run, breaking the opponent's lines. It could be a player with a good first touch. It could be a player who's really fast, running behind the opponent's defense. It could also be defensive-wise, where you can say we have a really good player who's really good at pressuring. Or, for example, we had Jordan Henderson, Hendo, who actually in many of our throw-ins defensive-wise, he was the free presser. The reason why he was that was because he was really good at scanning, looking where will the ball come. He was also really good at pressing technically. So he came with really big force, but without, it was not often he made free kicks. So he was really good at that. And one of the funny things was actually that I considered, and I think most others considers Liverpool when I was there, not only the best attacking throw-in team, but also the best defending. We were like putting the other teams down to ridiculous low numbers. But the funny thing here was we were crazy good at pressing, but we were also, I think it was like 3 or 4 of the years in the Premier League, we were the most fair play team in the Premier League. And how can you be the best at pressing and also the most fair play? This is about, of course, about strategy and seeing spaces and being at the right places at the right time. But this is also about pressure technique. So of course, when I'm working with the throw-ins, we're going really down into detail. And it's those small details, the basic stuff, that make you able to do higher quality in small-sided games, that make you do even higher quality in big zonal drills, that make you do fantastic quality when you do throw-ins in a match. So this is the way I worked. So this is like a short recap here.
Completely understand where you're coming from. I just wanted to ask, I'm just going to ask you and be candid. Why did you leave Liverpool? If everything was working so well with what you were doing and your rolling the setup was so successful, why did you leave Liverpool?
So first of all, how can you say, yes, I left Liverpool, but it was not, I would have stayed. So what happened here was that I think in the first 3 seasons or so, I was with Liverpool, I think it was the first 2 seasons, 4 or 5 times per season. So I came like 1 week at a time, and we had a fantastic level. I should also say that I analyzed all those 5 years, 300 games, around 15,000 throw-ins. And all of those 15,000 throw-ins I've been looking at 3, 4, 5, 6 times each to look at what's happening between the lines. So when I'm doing throw-in analysis, I'm not just putting the throw-ins into a machine, because you can read much more between the lines. Of course, my most important work is on the pitch together with the team. So I was there, the first couple of years, like 4 or 5 times per season. Then we had COVID-19. So it meant that it was really hard for me to travel to England. And actually, for example, in 2021, it was easier for me to come to Mexico than to the UK because of Brexit. I couldn't come in. So I was only with Liverpool when they were away on training camp. So then we came to the 2022-23 season. So like in April in 2023, I was for the second time, with the team that season. And yes, of course, be there 2 times, that's still better than 1 time. But it was not that we were being bad at the throw-ins. We were not just like, how can you say, great. Yeah. We were still good, but I'm not satisfied with good, Yeah. I want to do the most, the best. And so I said to Jürgen, I wanted to, if we in the next season could like do it like in my first season, where I'm coming 4 or 5 times, during the season. And then he said, let me think about it. And then he came back a week later, and then he said, no, I think that we'll try to do this like ourselves next season. So this was actually the second best option for me. So the best was actually to go up again to the number of visits. The second best was to stop. And the third best was to come again the next season and then train only 1 time, because I didn't feel that I could, improve the team enough. So I was satisfied. So even though I would love to have stayed, it was better to stop, like, how can you say, like this, than to continue. Yeah. And also, it's also important for me to say that if I told my 10-year-old self that I would be coaching Liverpool FC in the throw-ins for 5 seasons, winning the Premier League, the Champions League, then I would probably have thought I was quite crazy, So I'm not looking back and seeing this by, I don't like it, I stopped. No, I loved all my 5 years, and I'm getting it. It changed my life, I'm getting so many praises and thanks, and so still now, even like like 2.5 years after I stopped, people are writing to me every day, and thanking me. And I can remember one time after the Premier League title, there was a guy on around 70 years, and I was out shopping, local supermarket in Denmark. And then when I came outside, he said, "Oh, come on over to me." And then when I came over to him, he started crying. He started crying and crying and crying. And then he had like a short sleeve here, and then he pulled it up. Then he had like a gigantic "You'll Never Walk Alone" tattoo. And then he said, "I've been waiting for this for 30 years, since I was around 40 years old." So he was so thankful. So I've only good things to say about Liverpool FC, about Jürgen, the team, the fans, the whole club. And I will always look back to those 5 years and smile every time I think about it.
Amazing. If I can put you on the spot here. So obviously you're not at Liverpool at the moment, but Liverpool have come under some criticism this season for defending throw-ins. What would be your bit of advice to Liverpool as to how they can improve on this area, especially when you look at how we conceded the first goal against Brentford, for example?
Yeah, and this is one of the funny things is that when people are talking about throw-ins, and I think it's 100% fair, you ask me this, and of course I'll answer it. But the funny thing is that when people are talking about throw-ins, especially in this season with the increased amount of long throw-ins, people are talking about long throw-ins. Are we scoring? Are we not scoring? Or conceding long throw-ins? And yes, this is an important topic. And I've also been interviewed a lot of times about that the last month or so. And yes, you can do some specific things around defending throw-ins. For example, I just put a video on my YouTube channel around the flexible sandwich, how you can work with how can you say, closing down those small gaps you can have when people start moving, when they take a long throw-in. So this is, of course, a really important skill to have. But I'll be much more worried about all the other throw-ins with Liverpool, because the quality of the fast and clever throw-in has been really low with the Liverpool team this season. And again, it's not only Liverpool. I've seen Arsenal, even though they're praised for fantastic corners and everything, their quality on the fast and clever throw-ins are low too. The same with Manchester United, the same with Newcastle, So yes, of course, you don't want to concede after a long throw-in, and you should work with that. But I would be much more worried about all the other throw-ins. The challenge is just that people don't see it, because the commentators, they're not saying anything at all. And yes, maybe you'll lose the possession on your throw-in, and maybe the opponents are doing that just like 2 minutes after. And then you can say, yes, if it's the same low quality, it doesn't matter at all. Yes, it does. It just shows like the team is now in the position where they were in the 17-18 season before I came, that were really bad. So again, back to the throw-ins. So of course, Liverpool, they will improve their general game by improving their throw-ins again. And then some people have asked me, okay, you coached them for 5 years. Didn't they learn anything? Yes, they learned a lot. But the challenge here with this team is that, first of all, it's a totally new coaching staff. So all everything is new here with this team. The other thing is that we don't have many players back from when I was coaching. It was Robo, Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah, but that's about it. So and what's really important here when you want to be successful with throw-ins is that you get this team understanding, and you only need like 1, 2, 3 players on the team who don't really understand what we're doing to make it not work. And I think the case here is with this team is that you'll probably have 7, 8 players on the pitch every time who hasn't worked deeply with throw-ins. So there's a big potential with Liverpool FC, not only regarding not conceding after long throw-ins, but all the other throw-ins all around the pitch. Yeah.
So maybe Liverpool can see this interview and they can rehire you then, yeah?
Yeah, I'll just say that I've been mentioning this many times. I'm open to almost all clubs in the world. There are a few clubs who I can't say yes to. I regard it because of politics or regarding rivalry that I can't say yes to. I also said no to some teams who are close rivals to Liverpool. where I also could earn probably a lot of money, also in times where I really needed the money. But I said no because there are I also have mirrors in my home, and you know, no, it's not, but it's just to say that
No, yeah, I get it.
I'm a type of guy who can't do that. I don't care about money, I
Yeah.
did I wasn't becoming a throwing coach to earn money. I came to make a difference, of course, for individual teams, but also to make the football world better. So I'm not here
Yeah.
for the money. So yes, back to your what you said. They're welcome to contact me. They are quite aware of what I can do. They're
Yeah.
also aware of I'm already sure their weaknesses. So the
Mm.
biggest so this is only, how can I say, a question, or either they want to try to do it themselves, or they don't prioritize it, or they don't want me to make the work. And that's not important for me. If they call me, if they write to me and ask me for help, I'll be there. I'll take the plane in 5 minutes, because I will never say no to Liverpool FC because of how the history had together. Yeah. So
I love hearing that. I just want to ask you, so looking at the current landscape of the Premier League, and you touched on this as well, teams like Brentford, Sunderland, and most famously Arsenal, they're utilizing long throws at the moment, and it's come under quite a lot of criticism. But why do you think the long throw has become sort of a focal point in an attack again? And do you see this happening for the next couple of years?
yeah. So first of all, I think one of the main reasons is that they have been looking at teams who are really successful at long throw-ins. For example, one of my Danish teams, FC Midtjylland, and they're now at the moment leading the Europa League, also the Danish league.
Yeah,
The
recently beat
last 5
Nottingham
seasons
Forest,
I
right?
coached them, they scored 46 goals on long throw-ins, so over 9 per season. Last season it was 11. Not this season, but the previous 3 seasons I coached Brentford FC. And last season they were by far the best teams on goals, on XGs, on long throw-ins. And then of course other teams are saying, okay, maybe we should have that success because we are struggling at our throw-ins. And maybe that's you can say, yeah, that's a good way to think about it. But I'm not agreeing, because one of the reasons why a lot of teams are trying a lot of long throw-ins now is because they're really bad at what I call the fast and clever throw-ins. So space creation at the opponent's penalty area, because you can be just as successful with that. So if you're really bad at space creation, but a little bit less bad at the long throw-in when you hurl it in there, because it's also about you can be lucky. Of course, you can do it with quality, but so I think a lot of teams, they shouldn't do long throw-ins. They should work with space creation instead, because you can create really magic with that space creation. So yes, of course, there are teams in the Premier League who are good, like Brentford. I coached the previous 3 seasons. I think also Sunderland has been quite successful, but a team where I think they shouldn't do long throw-ins was Arsenal, because yes, they have been fantastic at corners, fantastic at free kicks, but they actually been quite bad both at long throw-ins, but also with the fast and clever throw-in.
Okay.
So they should either, if you ask me, stop by doing at least so many long throw-ins, or be better at them, or they should focus more on the fast and clever throw-ins and get people in there who know something about that. So what I hope for the future is that maybe, again, I'll never decide or be a judge over who should take long throw-ins. But in the best world, if you ask me, we'll have, like, let's say a third of the league or fourth of the league who are taking many long throw-ins. Then we'll have maybe, I don't know, a third of the league who takes once in a while, but not often. And then we maybe have a third of the league who never does it.
Yeah.
And so I think that'll be better, because right now I see, if you ask me, too many long throw-ins. And the challenge with too many bad long throw-ins where people are not really scoring a lot of goals is that you are sometimes taking a lot of time. And you also make the game a little bit more boring, because then it'll be like a stop and go game. And this is one of the reasons why we didn't do long throw-ins. Yeah, we did a couple in the start with Joe Gomez.
Yeah.
But that was one of the reasons, because yes, I've been saying, and I still mean that, I could easily have been making Liverpool FC doing scoring 10 long throwing goals every season. And then people are saying, why didn't you do it?
Yeah.
It's because if you want to score that many goals, you'll probably have to take 6, 8, 10, 12 long throw-ins in every match. And then it's a totally other game. And Liverpool is known for the fast style of play. So again, yes, it's fine. You do long throw-ins. If it's world-class, like FC Midland or Brentford, I think it's good, because I think it's also funny that the small teams can, can tickle the big ones a little bit. But if we start to see most of the teams like now doing long throw-ins, I don't think it's good for the game. It'll be too boring, And this game, we couldn't sit here if the game wasn't so popular. And we have to remember why it's popular. We want some action,
Yeah,
one or the
entertainment.
other way. And if we have too many, at least bad long throw-ins, then we'll take the energy down. We'll have more waiting time. So I know it was a long answer, but this is my approach to it.
No, perfect answer. Really appreciate it. I won't keep you much longer. I really appreciate your time. Can I ask you, who was the funniest player at Liverpool while you were coaching there, and why?
It's really hard to say who was the funniest. I think that I won't highlight anyone. And why won't I do that? It's because it was more the culture who was great, that allowed people to be who they were. So it felt like people could be themselves in that environment. And I think that was actually the greatest thing. And then we have people who are really funny. We have people who are really intense. We have people who are thoughtful. We have people who are, things like that. For example, there were a lot of great players who like a lot of energy and fun. But one of the great examples is also that when I had my very first season in the very first training camp, we had this introduction of new players and staff. And the thing we should do was to sing a song. And I sang "Lean on Me," Bill Winters. I love to sing, so for me it was great. Some players didn't really like it. That's the way it is, because we're different human beings. But one of the things was really special is that Allison, he can play the guitar. And he's just sat down and played like a really, I think it was Brazilian song or so, acoustically. He also sang just like quietly, because he's like a, how can you say, I won't say quiet, that's the wrong, but like he's having that type of energy. And I'm 100% sure if he had been on the team, filled with fear, where people were afraid to be themselves, he probably wouldn't have played that song, But because there was this culture, people were allowed to be, again, energetic, funny, quiet, So that was actually the best part. So of course I have a lot of great stories. I normally only, when I tell stories from Liverpool FC, it's normally only when I've been doing something that was a little bit crazy or funny, or I had a little accident, because I'm not so much into talking about people, people's personal stuff. I can just say it was fantastic culture where people were allowed to be just like they wanted. And that made people thrive. And when people are feeling well, they're high performing.
Completely agree. Thomas, before I let you go, one final message. What would you like to say to the fans of Liverpool who've appreciated, like myself, the work that you did at Liverpool and helped us to secure so many trophies?
Yeah, I'll just say continue to support the team. It's been really fantastic. It's no secret that if you are innovator like me, the first, the only throwing coach, that you are getting a lot of negative comments too. Either primarily because either people don't understand, and that's a great part of them, or people just don't dislike it because they are from fans of other teams. And so all the massive support from Liverpool fans and how can you say, claps on the shoulders and thanks, it means more than people think. So I really appreciate that, of course. And I think that this is one of the great reasons why it's good to be working in Liverpool FC, because you'll never walk alone. This is not just a motto or a slogan. it's a thing that people are doing. And
Yeah.
I think that people, not only not the football clubs, but just people all around the world, can learn a lot by thinking about how can we walk together in daily life, So
Yeah.
I'm just really appreciate all the support I've got from Liverpool fans. So I'll take that until I'm not here anymore. I'll take that with me. So thanks a lot, yeah.
No, Thomas, once again, thank you so much for doing this and being so grateful with your time. And hopefully we do this again one day in the future as well. So thank you so much.
It was fantastic.
Please tell the people where they can find you on YouTube and where they can find you on social media. We'll also put the links to it in the description as well, so they can support you.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter or X. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on. I actually also got a TikTok channel also. I have a YouTube channel. You can just search my name, Thomas Gronnemark, and then I have a homepage called throwinacademy.com, where I also have an online course it's designed for amateur and youth coaches. So just connect with me no matter where. I think I'm almost on all social medias. So yeah.
People, please do smash the like button. Make sure you support Thomas. Thank you for watching and listening. Smash that like button until we see you again. Take care. Thanks for watching.